What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another pre-match fan show where it is your chance to have your say on the game this weekend. Obviously, we play Aston Villa at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium just before the second international break of the season. And actually, there's been an update regarding the international breaks, hasn't there?
Yeah, in regards to Romero, Lo Celso and Sanchez, and Emerson actually applies to as well, because he's also been called up for Brazil for this international break. So obviously last time out, players were required in entering red list countries to go for a 10-day quarantine in a hotel upon returning to the UK. That's what led to the whole Croatia fiasco and Brazilian authorities storming the pitch and all that kind of stuff. But this time around, they've decided they changed the rules. So Premier League players do get an exemption now if they are double vaxxed, and upon return to the UK they have to isolate away from the public for 10 days, but they're allowed out once a day to train or play. So they can train with the team and they can play with the team as well. So as long as they're double vaxxed, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you're not double vaxxed, then if they do go away on international duty, then it's 10-day hotel quarantining. So back to the standard. So it's not perfect.
What we do know is Christian Romero has been double vaxxed, but we're unsure on the other three, aren't we? Yeah,
which is quite worrying, especially with Lo Celso just coming into form, and he's going to go off again. So and Romero as well, going to be a big part of our defence. If obviously he's double vaxxed, shouldn't be a problem for him, but if they're missing for any period of time again, it's just going to disrupt the dressing room like it did last time.
Yeah, and look how much it disrupted. We went from 100% before the international break to 0% after the international break in terms of points. So, anyway, let's get into the game this weekend. Obviously, a massive game this weekend. 3 points is an absolute must, but we're coming up against a very difficult side this weekend in Aston Villa. They seem to have turned a bit of a corner with their 3 points against Everton, 3-0 win, beating a probably informed Everton side at the time, and also going to Old Trafford and getting a 1-0 win last week. So our work is really cut out for us this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, Villa are a side that always give you a game. It's always going to be a difficult game when you play against them, especially with some of the talent they now have on the front line, with Watkins and Ings linking up, with the hard work they're putting in behind that, with the 5 defenders, 3 hard-working midfielders as well, with like John McGinn and Douglas Luiz, who've got some talent in their boots as well when it comes to long-range shots and passing and stuff like that. So there are going to be no pushovers, that's for sure. And if we don't match their work rate, we're going to come unstuck. But with the likes of Son and Kane up front, if we can match their intensity and their work rate, then our quality should shine through, and we should have enough for them if we match them for passion. But we saw how they outworked Man United last week. That's what won them the game. They ended up deserving that win at Old Trafford. So they've already shown once that they can come up against teams with more quality than them and outwork them and win the game. So it's not going to be easy. We just got to show they're well for the challenge.
Yeah, and also we need to show, like, if something goes wrong in the game, that we have the mental strength and the mental capacity to work through it and actually, turn over a game, because we just can't see one thing goes wrong in each game, and then we completely lay down. I mean, we didn't even wait for something to go wrong against Arsenal. We just lay down completely from the start in that one. But we need to have our wits about us this weekend. We need to go in with the right mentality, and then we can potentially think about getting a positive result from this one. But let's get some fans on now, and just to let you know, the link is in the community section for all members right now. Let's start off with Brian Daigle.
How are we doing,
afternoon,
boys?
Brian. You right?
I'm good. How are you, boys?
Nice to see you, my friend.
Always
How's it all going? You looking forward to making the trip down to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday?
Yeah, I am actually. I am. I'm obviously going to be there from 11 a.m. for changes for Spurs, and then I get to watch the game. And like I said, I'm just praying we score a goal. I cannot be here and not be at that stadium and not hear the South Stand and the whole stadium roar for a goal for us. So I'm praying that we score a goal on Sunday.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's an important goal and not a consolation like it was last week. But how are you feeling coming into this one? Any confidence about you?
I'm actually really, really nervous about this game. And it's not so much just about the game, it's what the atmosphere is going to be like. Aston Villa are no mugs. They've got a lot of creativity in their midfield, and if we play the midfield we started against Arsenal, let's just say, I hope we don't. I don't think we will. It's not going to be pretty. We just need. I just hope we don't play 4-3-3 as well. That's the biggest concern. Nuno just seems hell bent on trying to play 4-3-3, and when it doesn't work, he's just trying to find combinations that will fit it, but it doesn't. He needs to change that formation, and definitely has to get Harry Kane up top by himself.
Then what formation do you change it to, Brian? What's the answer? And what personnel do you change?
So the two I would say is either 4-3-2-1, which is we know that will suit Kane, but also I wouldn't mind seeing 5 at the back, because I really think if we go 5 at the back or 3 at the back, whatever way you want to look at it, and having Reguilon as a wing back where his defensive duties aren't as rigid as what they have to be, I think we'll see the best out of Reggie, which can have a huge impact on the rest of the team. So it would be between that, but I do not want to see Dele Alli start. I do not want to see it. I want to see Gio get a start ahead of him, because Dele Alli does absolutely nothing apart from take a penalty.
So
literally, well, he loses the ball quite well. He does that.
He does that, and he runs around and gets great stats for running around, like Christian Eriksen did near the end, but achieves nothing. I think time has come for him. I want to see Gio. At least he'll help Højbjerg with a bit of fight with Skip as well. I think if I had to choose a 3 in midfield, it'd be Skip, Højbjerg, and Lo Celso. And I think that we have to start looking at the way, like people were saying with Harry Kane being a sub and impact sub in the last game. I think we need to look at that with Tanguy, because we won't play him in a free role. And I'd rather he come on with 35, 40 minutes left when he can do damage and not tire out for the whole game. I'd rather bring him on as a sub and know that when he starts, we're going to have to make a sub with him coming on. And I think a tiring team he could do a lot more damage with.
Yeah.
Brian, before yesterday's game, you'd been one of the people calling for give Scarlett a run in the Premier League and give him a go. Has yesterday's performance changed your feeling at all?
Not really, because I was so happy to see my counterpart at the end, Brian Ireland, come on the end.
He was brilliant last night.
And like I said, and I've said with him as well, I want to see, if we were to play a 2 up top with 1 dropping deeper, I want to see Kane with Scarlett, or a Son with Scarlett, or like he was saying, a Son and a Mora.
Oh, where's Brian gone?
Oh, just out of nowhere, he's just cut off.
Levy up to his old tricks again. Really keeping an eye on Brian.
He's back.
He's back.
He's back.
He's been keeping an eye on Brian.
Mate, I was like, what the hell is going, mate? I think I've been electronically chipped when I came into the ground with you guys on Sunday. Someone might have tapped me on the back, but I think they've chipped me. But yeah, I'd like to see Scarlett get some time with a Moore and a Son, or with a Kane, not just up there by himself. I think we're going to have to ease him in with like having some proper quality up there. And like Brian said, if he was on and Son and Moore had come on, you knew that he'd be on the end of, especially Kane's second goal.
Yeah.
So
do you think he's ready for the Premier League though, Brian? You know, physically.
Physically, I don't know. I mean, Michael Owen. I mean, I keep using Michael Owen as a kind of a comparison. Now we know Michael Owen went on to great success, but he was doing exactly what he was doing for Liverpool that Scarlett's doing for Tottenham.
Yeah, but some players develop at different rates, and Michael Owen might have been ready. And I look, to me, Scarlett just doesn't seem physically ready.
Michael Owen was also a small weedy boy when he first came into the Liverpool team.
But he had more pace about him clearly than Scarlett.
But you know what? I just think maybe the way I look at it,
Owen was always small and weedy even when he grew up. You know what I mean?
So if we go 4-2-3-1, I really want to see Kane. There's no doubt about it. But if we play a 3, I would just love to see Scarlett with 2 proper, like a Son and a Mora, or even if it was Son and Kane, and Kane can drop back and play like the Teddy Sheringham role. I think we need to gauge him playing amongst our big hitters at the top, rather than just being chucked in at a game.
Yeah, I think that's completely right, because if he's not with them, he's just facing a complete losing battle, isn't he?
Exactly.
When if he plays with them, then maybe he can get on the score sheet. Maybe he can impact the game a bit more positively than he does.
I'm talking about Premier League games. Can we trust him to play in Premier League games?
Listen.
Is it fair on him because he's 17? It could if he puts in anonymous performance after anonymous performance in the Premier League when I don't think he's ready. Could that destroy his confidence?
Well, you look at it. If he has a bad, let's just say for all purposes he plays against Villa, it's 50-50, isn't it? If he has a bad game, they're like, okay, at least we tried something and it doesn't work, or it does work and it's like, oh my god, the arrival of Scarlett. So this is. I mean, this game, because of the international break, is huge, because if this goes wrong, the media are going to have a field day with Nuno. They're literally just ripping to Spurs. So we need to get a positive result, and most important, as well as the result, a positive performance in the Premier League. And maybe Dane Scarlett, maybe not this game. I would like to see it, but maybe you wouldn't choose this game. But maybe after the international break or something, I think it's worth a go. You don't know if you don't try him.
That's true.
Well, we've tried him a couple of times, and it just hasn't
in the Premier League.
Son and Kane or Son and Mora. It's been Scarlett come on, and then like we have a pretty much relaxing like Lo Celso, Skip and Dele. God, it's so forgetful. I almost forgot his name. But yeah,
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Scarlett, but look, he's a 17-year-old boy. Are we putting too much pressure on him by saying you should be coming in and making an impact in the Premier League? Is that not too much pressure?
It may be, but you know what? It's the situation we're in. If we had a Vinicius or someone, you would say Vinicius. If a Llorente, obviously, but unfortunately, that's the situation we're in. And with our squad lacking so much depth, why not give it a go? Like we're looking at the Aston Villa game when Harry Kane scored that free kick. I know Harry Kane was a lot further advanced, but that saved his career, Poch's career. Or not career, but his time at Spurs, because then we all know what happened. Not saying that Scarlett's going to do the same thing at all, but you never know.
Yeah, but like people like Rooney and Owen, the reason why they're so heralded is because they're 1 in a million for what they did. It's very rare for players.
Right, there's not another. Look, if Rashford could do it, I know Rashford was taller and whatever, but if there's 1 in, why can't? Well, Kane was our 1 in a million. Why can't he? Why couldn't it be Scarlett? And just to get it out there, because I'm not saying he is that, but I'm saying he may be that.
I just think it's unfair on Scarlett to talk him up as if he can come in and make an impact when I don't think he's physically ready. And then all of a sudden he's going to come in and be judged on his performances, because when you're playing in Premier League football, you get, whether you like or not, you're going to be harshly judged. And then people are going to call him not good enough when he shouldn't really be in this situation. That's what I'm worried about.
The way I'd look at it, if we were let's pray to the gods that we're like 2 or 3 up at Villa, why not put him on for the last 15 minutes with 2 of them? Give him some minutes.
That's different. That's different because the pressure's off then. Yeah, but when you put him in from the start, I think that's not fair on him.
But you look at it. We keep having him on the bench, and we don't bring him on in the Premier League. I just think with the fans behind him and a full house, not like yesterday, and everything that's going on, maybe if we are winning, like we had with the Gareth Bale when he couldn't win for 24 games and then we put him on. If you put him on when we're 2 or 3 up and he's playing with the first teamers, not a mix and match kind of youth and the reserve, not reserves, but the what's it called, the fringe players, then maybe we'll see. But you're not going to be able to judge him. You can keep banging him in at the under-23s and we keep raging about him, but until he gets his chance, we're never going to know. And then it could be a chance where he runs a contract. I don't know when his contract ends. I think it's a few years anyway. But if we don't give him a go, we're never going to know. And we're building for the future, remember. So we've got to start getting these players in.
Yeah, I just think at 17 it's a bit young. That's all. I just think it's not.
I see where you're coming from, Tim. Don't get me wrong. I completely see where you're coming from. I'm just saying, I think, don't get me wrong, if we played the second striker, like let's say Vinicius had come back, then I would be saying exactly the same, but for Vinicius. But it's just the situation we're in with the lack of depth up there.
I hear that.
At the end of the day, both of you make very, very valid points. But ultimately, this is the situation we've been put in by the chairman.
That's
we
true.
don't have any other backup striker. The only other player that can play there is Heung-min Son, and with Bergwijn injured, there's even a more lack of options. So Scarlett has to be put in the conversation at some point. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, we've got to see what we've got to do. And then obviously, we go back to this Bergwijn injury. Why did we play him in Rennes when he was 50-50?
Yeah.
Scarlett has to be put in the conversation, but not while Kane's fit. I don't think it's an option. I really don't. I wouldn't do it.
I just think at some point we've got to give him a chance, because especially, but Sim, like I said, only if we're doing this 4-3-3. If we do 4-2-3-1, then it's understandable. There's not even a competition or even a discussion. It's Kane.
Brian, look, we got Villa on Sunday.
Yep.
They have turned a corner of late, beating Everton 3-0. They beat United. I don't know if you saw any of the United game last week. They beat United at Old Trafford. Are they proof at the moment? You know, that 1-0 win at Old Trafford was proof that how much hard work can get you, even when you're facing superior players. And that's kind of what Spurs have to take a leaf out of Villa's book, don't they, from that performance?
They have to, but what I will say is they had 11 players that were committed to the cause. 11 players that are playing as a team and for each other and united and working their socks off for each other. And when we do that, we like we did against Man City. It was a great performance. But it's just at the moment questions are being raised about our commitment on the pitch, especially the last 3 Premier League games. And we shall see. If they turn up like they did for the City game, then it will be a fantastic game and we'll give everything. But the commitment is a huge issue for us at the moment, and I think all fans would agree that.
Do you think Villa are better off without Grealish at the moment? What do you reckon?
Joe,
how they're facing up?
It's hard to say. I mean, they've taken their star man out, but like you said, they've had some results like they did against Everton, and they've replaced it with quality. They've got Danny Ings, who, as we know, always likes to go against us. Bondia, who I think Norwich was fantastic, and I think he will become really, really good. And they do look like a good unit, and I think they will cause us quite a few problems.
At the end of the day, they looked like a good unit last year with Jack Grealish, so I'm not sure if they're better off or not, but I think they're still going well, that's for sure, Aston Villa. And I think the last 2 games have very much proved that with this impressive wins against Everton at Old Trafford as well. When you're looking at the team that are going to face Villa this weekend, who are you looking at to start at centre-back for us this weekend?
You know what? I think Romero has to start. He has to.
Agree.
Now, like I said, when I was a fan of, I was saying with Sanchez and Dyer, they played 3 games. We kept 3 clean sheets. We should have kept them in, and we did. And it's now it's kind of like you've lost. When a player has a bad performance, then someone comes in for it. So I think Romero has to start now. I hope it's Rodon, because why start Romero if you're going to start integration as the first teamer and not put the partner that they plan to play with him to get some experience of them playing together? So Rodon for me was our best defender once just as Jose was leaving, and then he went missing for the rest of the season with Mason. So I like that. I like the idea of them too being given a chance. But I think Romero has to start, and I wouldn't have a clue who the other one is going to pick alongside him.
You worried about Danny Ings on Sunday? He always seems to score against Tottenham.
Exactly.
Always worried about Danny Ings.
Like Drogba had against the filth and everything. There's some strikers that just score against certain teams, and it is a worry. And he has been on good form at Villa. He's been on very good form.
Yeah, he's had a good start to the season. I mean, how do you think this game's going to play out? What's your score prediction this weekend?
You know what? I've decided. I went on a stream earlier and I said I'm not going to do a score prediction because I've been so off. But what I am just praying and pleading is, like I said at the beginning, that we score. I'm hoping, as always, for a Spurs win. Do you know what it is, Ben? I'm very worried. There's so many factors in this game. Like, if we don't start right, the crowd are going to get on edge. Yeah. The Villa game, you've got to remember, like I said, with Poch, this game could be a defining moment in Nuno's career. The fact that we've got a team that have we're playing a team that not only have they built correctly this summer compared to what we've done, but they had the chairman come out and not the chairman, Christian Persson. I keep forgetting what position he's got on Villa, but came and explained himself about and the club what they did with Grealish. There's just so many variables of how they're going one way and we're going the exact opposite, that I think it's just causing for a very, very toxic atmosphere in the ground if we don't get up to a good start. I think really, really toxic. So we shall wait and see. But I'm just hoping it's another game I get to go to. I'll be with you, Ben, and Mr. Danny Kiriakou. And is Ashley and Grandpa coming?
Yes, I believe so.
Fantastic. So I get to spend more time with you guys, which is just brilliant. So let's just hope for a very, very good day.
And if we do, have a comprehensive defeat this weekend, is Nuno going to last the international break?
Again, do you know what? Again, this is the thing. In my opinion, if he gets fired, or the parasite is in such a bad position, because if he fires him, it's another wrong appointment. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't fire him, it's like, well, where do we? He's just got himself into a no-win situation. And then literally, if we don't, it's like, again, it's who comes into who could do better, who's available, who will come, and it doesn't. Like I said, we could have Klopp and Guardiola as the assistant manager, and we would still have the same results because of someone at the top. So I just don't know where we go from here, stick or twist, and I just don't know which one we do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think sacking Nuno definitely says more about the board than it would about Nuno anyway, that's for sure. We know that for sure. Whatever way you slice it. But Brian, always good to see you, my friend.
See you Sunday, my friend.
See you Sunday, my man. I'll be there from 11 o'clock, so whenever you get there, just give me a call. We'll meet up. And then, have a great weekend. Shabbat shalom. And
I'm going to try and get there similar time.
Perfect. And as always, Levy out.
You know it. That's a great call from Brian Daigle as always.
He said the Villa guy came on explaining himself. Levy also did an on-camera explanation, but then he said he explained how Spurs were so ready to play attacking football and we're going to go back to our DNA, and then he just didn't follow that up with actions speak louder than words, Levy, unfortunately, and he goes and hires Nuno, so classic Levy. Didn't quite explain, did he, correctly?
And he said everything made from all these events and all this stuff are all going to get pumped straight back into the team.
Of course
it's not going to get pumped into his bonuses, is it? Not going to get pumped to his bonuses at all. But
it's going to go to giving Dane Scarlett a bit more per week.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone, please have a thought for Daniel Levy. He's struggling to put food on the table. Let's bring on Brains McLeod.
Send in McLeod.
Send in McLeod. Brains, how you doing, man?
Not bad. How's it going?
Nice to see you, Brains. Always a pleasure.
To be honest, still really hurting from last weekend. It's going to take me a while to get over that one.
I know. Definitely feel like Ben needs a cuddle for sure.
I can't do this.
Sam, how's your cold going?
I've got like a little nasal spray going on here, so I'm trying to supplement it. But it's all right. It's okay. I'm trying to deal with it. Yeah,
sounds a lot better.
Thank you, appreciate that. But look, nothing is ever going to get over that North London derby defeat until we get a win in the Premier League again. And yesterday isn't going to change anything if we lose on Sunday. That's the reality, isn't it? So what are you looking for on Sunday? What do you think Spurs can change in terms of like how they approach the game on Sunday and personnel as well? Like, what would you do for Sunday?
Yeah, so like the thing with me is, it's kind of. I was shouting like for Harry Kane to leave, and watching the show on in the kind of window, and we were seeing people say, no, there's no way we could get, no way, he's got to stay, and then he has a bad run, and everyone's like, get him out. It's like Look,
And then he scored a hat-trick last night, and you're like, how can you drop him?
You gotta drop him, undroppable.
it's like the idea of dropping Harry Kane for me was just so insane. Like 70% in the poll the other day, you know, it's like drop him 70%. Like,
And then yesterday, then we did the same poll yesterday, and it was 70% to not drop him.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Fickle. But no,
Yeah.
he is the kind of guy, like, Harry Kane, it doesn't matter where his mind is at. Once, like, 1 or 2 goals in a game hit the back of the net, you feel the roar, you feel how good it feels to hit the ball in the back of the net, that stuff will just become automatic to him. So for me, it's always a matter of time. If he gets 2 goals in a game, bang, he'll just be off and running. You know, we've seen it so many times. We've doubted him so many times when he goes into those little dry spells, and it does feel annoying because you're like, oh, your expectation is so high on him to pull something out the bag that when he has an average game or when he's completely gone, which every player in the world does. You know, Messi goes to PSG for a couple of starts, it doesn't seem right, and then bang, he's off and running. It's just totally natural, you know. But like I would have said 12, 13, 14 games if he was still missing, still play him, because when he gets that run going, he will deliver, you know. So, and also we have nothing to replace him. Like, how crazy, like how much is it like cut your nose off to spite your face, you know, wanting to kind of you know, risk that stuff. Fair enough, if it was a whole thing of like the idea of dropping is insane, but yeah, start him on the bench and then maybe try something with a different 3 up front. Yeah, oh, that's good. That's not really dropping. That's like a tactical idea, you know, bring you on. And yeah, so I thought it was nice to see him. I didn't.
But Brains, I think that's what people meant when they were talking about dropping Harry Kane. I don't think they meant dropping him for an extended period of time. I think people were talking about him being on the bench and to come on to impact the game with the last half an hour, 20 minutes. I don't think anyone meant actually take him out of the team and no one ever wants to see him again.
Yeah, of course. And sometimes it's like Kane, obviously, if you've got a big game coming up, you know, a Premier League game, to start him on the bench, sometimes I still think that could add more towards the negative of the kind of internal stuff, you know, like bringing him on and have him, like, you know, thrown in the deep end in 80 minutes or, you know, it's still find that like that it's too big a risk that it would have negatively impacted him, you know. But like, I mean, I was coaching. I'm injured now, so I'm coaching my team when I can't play. So I missed a bit of the game last night, but I came into the pub afterwards and we're 2-1 up. And I look up to the screen, and there's Kane, Son, all coming on the pitch. You know, like, we end the game with like pretty much a first team. I'm like, what are we doing? And it seems like a crazy, insane thing to do, but it's not if it's a case of like we need to get Harry going. You know, if that's what Nuno was thinking, like let's bring him on, get him firing, then genius. You know, but did we have to commit that many first teamers into the, you know, it great to see, because we're all going, look, play Lucas, Son, Kane, and Lo Celso behind him. Perfect, it works. You know, so maybe it was kind of, he was trying things out. Like he was saying, he doesn't have any real time to do gameplay and training. So
he said he has to use the games. That's what he said.
Got to use the games, yeah. And I guess, you know, 30 minutes wasn't too much of a risk. We wouldn't be saying that, obviously, if any one of those players got injured.
Definitely. Yeah, well, actually,
After getting double sessions every day. What do you mean he's got no time to work on tactics? It's a bit ridiculous.
That's fitness, though.
What, double all day?
A lot of it is. A lot of it is. Yeah. When you're 2 games a week like that every single week, you don't get a lot of time because you have your rest days and then you got your fitness and then you maybe get one tactical session.
You're telling me Pochettino only worked on fitness when he had 2 games a week and he wasn't working on tactics during the week?
Well, he had most of the pre-season and he had different circumstances.
I think Poch got the few different systems that eventually worked. Like, you know, he started off a little bit slow and then eventually got the systems going, and it kind of like chopped and changed between systems that I guess the players were quite established in. You can go, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, you know, whereas this is kind of like, obviously on the game, what happens on the day, the training after a game, it's not really training. It's all you know, kind of just running things off. Yeah, on one of the days you do core and kind of weights and stuff, and that type of stuff. You do very little ball work, and then if you get another one, then you do kind of like more kind of ramping up the actual gameplay.
Sounds like a man on the inside, Brains.
Yeah, it's just I've obviously had a lot of experience like with obviously the game, but it's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and which kind of would I love Brian Daigle, but I was almost getting triggered into memories of being a young footballer in a professional team and like getting thrown in the deep end. For Scarlett, I feel so bad for him. Like in the times that I've seen him play, because I've been exactly in that situation, and it's very, very different from playing week in and week out against players who are like the under 23s have a lot of young players in them. They're not all 23-year-olds, and they have a couple players older, but they're mostly kind of kids his age. And that is so different. Like when you go up against central defenders who are seasoned profession, the way they touch you, the way they get near you, and the little things that they do to you is hard. It's harsh. And when you aren't doing that week in, week out, and then you get thrown into even the we don't think that it's a big competition, but this is huge for him to play these games in the Conference League. And if he and you can see it watching, because I watched the first part of the game where he was playing, and I was just thinking this is exactly what's happening. Like he does a couple of things, and then they kind of don't really turn into anything, and then he kind of like loses the ball once or something doesn't work out, and you can just see the kind of confidence draining. And that confidence, it's not just a game confidence. When you got like a stadium full of fans, like who are kind of expecting that that you're going to do something way out of your remit, way out of like you've never shown them that you can do anything at this level, and yet they all expect it because the team's so starved of something up front, like something that can support Kane. But it's so bad for a young player. I don't know if you remember seeing Ryan Brewster. He was coming through at Liverpool and he was killing it. He was firing, and he did a couple of good things in reserves, and then he got into the first team, and he was in and about it. And then he put him out to Sheffield United, and he did nothing. He couldn't really do anything. Mm-hmm. And he's a really good player, and that's a strong player. He's built a lot stronger than Scarlett. Like, it's a very difficult thing. Scarlett's metabolism won't be ready. All of this stuff, his muscle fibers will not be fast twitching enough yet. Like, a lot of the stuff that comes from playing game in, game out, season in, season out, a lot of that stuff that builds proper muscle, the right stuff that you need to be a striker who turns on, like, you have to have all this stuff, and he doesn't quite have it yet. And it's really unfortunate to see a young boy who has potential being thrown into the wolves pit, into the snake pit, into the lion's den. A club like this, who's going through the stuff we're going through, that to throw a boy in it like this, I'm the same as Sim. I'm like, this is horrifying to see. It's really not good for him.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
I agree with you. I agree with you to a certain degree, but do you not think that Nuno is kind of like the part of him being thrown into the deep end is not him being in the team, but him not being surrounded by quality players to actually help him through it?
Yeah, no, I do think that, but it's not even that. It's like when you see his work off the ball, and like as a striker, 80% of the stuff that you do is off the ball. Like, it's so bizarre. Obviously, we see strikers hit the ball and score and pass and do 1-2s and stuff, but a huge percent of it is off the ball work. And I just, when you're coming up and you're in the under 17s, 16s, 15s, and all that, like you can like it's very different. You can you can expose space and bad defending. When you get to the levels where everyone, even at the lowest level in the Prem, and even at this level, players just know how to deal with players who are not fully equipped to move into the spaces in the right way. So when I'm seeing him playing, if you just like, I'd love doing this with Kane. I just like watch him. I'm like not watching the game. I just watch him, and I'm like, he's not right today. Like you just see it. Like he's not doing the same stuff. When you watch Scarlett off the ball, it's like he's running around like a headless chicken. He doesn't actually know what to do yet in a professional scenario. In this scenario, he doesn't quite know yet. And that would change maybe a little bit if he had a talisman or someone next to him saying, hey, move, like, no, you're going wrong. Like, like Cavani was doing with, what's his name, Mason.
Greenwood.
Yeah, he was saying, like, you're going the wrong way. Like, and that's Greenwood, who's got a lot of experience. But Cavani's saying, listen, do this. You're not making any sense making that run. And as fans, we might see a run and go, why didn't you play him in? It's like, but actually, that might not be the right run. And strikers can tell which is the good and the bad run. And I'm just seeing him like not make any of the right moves just yet. So maybe Son and Kane should be taking him under their wing and talking to him about the way he has to move, off the ball. Maybe he's just not getting that help just yet. So that's why I agree with you that quality players around him are not giving him the help he maybe needs, because it doesn't look like or maybe he's just getting shell shocked in these moments, and it's not, it's one thing telling a player what to do and showing him the board and showing him the iPad and talking through it. When the game, your mind has to be sharp, 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 and if it's not, it's not,
Yeah, and he's only 17, and those players like Rooney and Owen, they're 1 in a million who are ready at that age. They're 1 in a million. It's so rare for a player to come in and even make an impact in these kind of games at such a young age, let alone Premier League games or anything like that.
And it triggers me so much because, I signed from Motherwell when I was 16, and I signed when I was kind of earlier, and then I got a hideous thing happened to me, and then I had to come back, and I had to, it was a whole year where I had to kind of learn how to walk and run and then eventually make my debut. And I went onto the pitch and I came on for Dougie Arnott, who was a massive, massive hero of the Motherwell fans. And a couple of things, it's just not, no matter how hard you train, how good you are in training. And I had Tommy Coyne who was there talking to me, and I had Arnott and really great players, Billy Davies and good players like that. Alex McLeish was my manager. And as soon as you get into that situation, it's not, Fir Park's not as big as, the Spurs Stadium, but it's like 30,000 people. And I made a run. I was off. My legs weren't moving right. And I put a ball over the bar, and then everything in my head just went bang, gone, out skate. And I feigned an injury, walked off, and never played for them again, and walked away from professional football because of the impact. Everyone was put so much pressure on me, and no one had seen what I was even capable of in the first team.
How old were you at the time?
When I made the debut, it was 16 years old, and that's just, it's too much too soon, and you don't really quite understand. You mentioned Michael Owen. I remember there was a Scotland schoolboys game where I played against Owen, and he was so small and so tiny, and but the difference with him is he had an elite understanding of space and how to use his body, because he had actually, when he was way younger, he was in the under 18s. He had already made he was through the England system from day dot. He was nurtured, and he was put up against bigger players all the time. So he knew how to use their body weight. He knew how to use his. And when you see him come through, he was so good. He was almost crawl under players' legs. He was so good at being the small guy and being the surprise. And he kind of triggered his brain into thinking, yeah, watch this. So he's always the best player by miles on the park when anyone played him. So you can't really compare players like him and Rooney, who are a bit, they're special specimens. They're very different to kind of rate them to someone coming through who's not really been in the England, through the England schoolboy system, through where you get training, you get strategic stuff, you get advice on your body, you get all this stuff, private physio, private food getting made for you, private cooker, private chef. So it's very different when you are an elite level player. You see, even from a very young, they get everything thrown at them, and that was Michael Owen, and that's not Scarlett yet. So I think we have to kind of pull off, because if Scarlett does come on and plays a couple of Premier League games, and I'm saying that'd be great for him if we're winning a game 4-0 or something, and it doesn't go well with them, I would say to the fans, do not hit hard and be like, oh well, screw that. It's that's not. Now you can't do that. Now you have to actually commit to support him and stick by him. So I'm not trying to be harsh to him and say he's not good enough. I'm saying he's a great player. I'm just saying it's too much too soon for him, like what Sim was saying, and it's tough to see as someone who's been in that situation and it went real bad and it made me walk away from the game at that point. So it really is tough to see a player like that go through, because he has a good kid and he has got amazing talent.
That's fascinating to hear, Brains. Talking about the Villa game, obviously they've lost Jack Grealish over the summer. They've made some signings, Danny Ings, they've signed Bailey, they signed Buendia. They won at Old Trafford last week. I don't know if you saw any of that game, but there was a brilliant win for them. Are you worried about the threat they're going to pose on Sunday, or do you feel like we could have enough to win this game?
Does a bear shit in the woods? yeah, pretty fucking worried. I mean, the problem is that they play with cohesion, they play with determination and strength, and also they have quality. The transfers they made, I was watching that they were getting players like Bailey and And I kind of really liked the idea of us getting Ings, but knew it was never going to happen. But just the little bits of stuff, and even Traore for them is someone who actually does a lot of he's kind of now can do some of the Grealish stuff. And obviously as a Scot, I just love John McGinn. I think he's one of the best kind of central midfield players there is. And that's another player who was tiny and skinny when he was a kid, stick thin, and he built the muscles onto his lower center of gravity, and he built the muscles onto his thighs, and it became monster muscles, So that's someone who is someone he can control a game. He's something that what we need, We need a Lo Celso to kind of do what a McGinn does, who can take the ball by the scruff of the neck, come deep, and make things happen. And so I'm really worried there. I looking at just their momentum against ours, I'm not sure there's a way we can win this game. Like their strategies against ours, I can't see it happening. Like for the life of me, I can't see it happening. I'd love it if you played Mora, Son, Kane, Lo Celso behind him, Skip, Højbjerg, Romero, Rodin, or Tanganga. I'd love it if we did, but it's the strategies. We put good teams out and got beat by bad strategy. So I just can't see it. I mean, I'd love it if what you guys were saying, like we go up and then we kind of lose momentum. I could see us going up. I could see us snatching an early goal.
Oh, dinner's ready. Dinner's ready, Brain.
Tell me, that's it. I want to catch you later. Shut up. That's the shut up alarm. You're talking too much. So I could see us going into that and kind of losing the game 2-1 or even 3-1 late, and that's it's hard to be positive, right? From what you're seeing, your brain is seeing these things. It's like, and you're seeing their momentum. It's like, how do you kind of shut that off and just be kind of like Irish Hotspur confident? I love how he can I've sat down in some of the pre-match pump-ups and just been like, oh my God. Come at the end of it going, we're going to win this. wait, he's like a psychotherapist. Like, what is he doing?
It shows you the pre-match pump-up is working, doesn't it?
It's doing its job, the pump-up.
But then I feel angry at him because we go and get humped 3-0. I'm like, David!
That's brilliant.
No, but I genuinely, I'd love to see Lo Celso playing central. It's frustrating when he's on the wing. It's like, why are you putting a guy who is a natural cam out there? I hate it. So it'd be lovely to see him have a more central role. And if he doesn't do well, then bring on a Dele or bring on a Ndombele. We've got, that's not really, if those three players start to work together and see it like we're the unit, like we might not start every game, or it doesn't matter, but we have to come on and do the job. We have to play and get our strategies of the cam role together, then we're good. We have that cam roll down, but it's just whether we can get the strategy that works in attack for us, I think we can defend well, and then it's that how we how we kind of get the ball from breaking away to in transition to the kind of the attacking play, and that's where it's kind of a bit troubling, and hopefully we pull something out. I just wish, what I hope is that Nuno is watching these games, especially the games we lose, the games where it goes bad, like that fucking Arsenal mess, and I hope he learns. I hope he's make notes. I hope he's just learn, or someone. What I wish would happen is someone who an actual proper hardcore Spurs fan. One of you guys would go in, be like, no, something we have to have a talk about here. Now, there's a reason that entire career rhymes with diarrhea. And there's a reason that Dyer's name's in that, all right? Leave that motherfucker out of the team. Sanchez, just say the word Gundogan to him. He'll probably fall down on the floor. He'll probably get triggered and fall down on the floor, all right? So there's a couple things. Tinksy Winksy, Jesus, it's like Winks is like Zoolander. The guy, Zoolander can't turn left. Winks can't go forward. So leave the guy out of the team, So I just wish someone would say these things to him.
Unless you're playing Mura.
Yeah, exactly. And just hopefully he's learning this, and then so we can move on, so that Rodin can be a natural replacement for Dyer, or so that Tanganga can come in and don't take Romero out. He just has too much class on the ball, and he's too strong to not be playing every game. It's insane, It's when you see how smooth he is at his crossfield passing and how he can, get the ball out. It's just crazy when we're not starting him. mental, right? Like,
I agree.
I wish, that's kind of that's what I hope will happen, you know. But hey, I've said too much. My phone's telling me to get fucked.
School pitch and brains. That's what I want to hear from you.
Nice one. But yeah, good. God, I hope we do something. I hope we're not all crying after the game on Sunday. But I can't see it.
Let's hope we can get 3 points. I mean, are you sticking with your 2-1 loss prediction? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, unless I was talking to the Irish Hotspur right now, then I'd probably go 6-0.
He wouldn't let you get away with that. He wouldn't let you get away with that in a million years, Brace. Brilliant call as always, man.
Yeah,
nice to see you, my
Big
friend.
up yourself, man.
And hopefully we'll see you after the game on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.
Have a good one, Brace. Enjoy your dinner.
Super chat here from Stefan Blau saying Scarlett on loan to Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester.
All of them, eh?
All of them, yeah. wants him to follow in the footsteps of Harry Kane, obviously. But let's go on to the next caller. And for the second time today, Mr. Josh RG. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, boys. How we doing? I'm
Yeah,
a little bit more confident now.
I can see you got a bit of a smile on your face.
I'm seeing the energy. Like after like I spoke to you earlier on, I come away and I had a thought like, what could we do to break this Aston Villa team down? And I've come up with like a lineup that is 4-2-3-1.
Okay, give it to us.
Let's hear it.
Right, so you got obviously Lloris in goal.
Yeah,
we don't start Galini at all. Reggie, Romero, Roden, Tanganga back four. Højbjerg and Skip in defensive mid. This is where I'm probably going to get a lot of opinions. Like people are going to get the wires crossed. Mora, Son, and Gill. So you've got Gill on the left wing, Son playing that attacking midfield role, the speeding balls to Kane. That Son and Kane partnership last season was destructive. Like we saw how well that worked. So and then you have Kane playing up front.
So you have Son centrally, did you say?
Yeah, attacking midfield, central midfield. Yeah.
Interesting.
Would you consider in that lineup maybe to put Kane in the number 10 and put Son up top?
This is the thing, because it's such a that dynamic duo is such a versatile role. It's such a versatile duo that sometimes we see Son up front, sometimes we see Kane up front. In my opinion, Kane played better feeding balls into Son than what Son was feeding in balls into Kane.
Yeah.
They racked up a lot of assists, and I think that they're record holders at the minute.
Yeah,
do you think I was making the predicted lineups out yet, but we've shot it already, and I was making this point in predicted lineup that Son, he's 29 now, he's going to be 30 soon. A bit like how
he hasn't lost it though. He hasn't.
No. That's not the point I'm making. The point I was going to make was the older he gets, a bit like how Cristiano Ronaldo was a left winger, and as the years gone by, and when he got into his late 20s, early 30s, he started moving centrally because he didn't want to waste his speed, the speed he's got, doing all the stuff on the wing, like beating players and tracking back and getting crosses in. He wanted to use his speed primarily for trying to get in behind defenders and trying to be sharp as possible when in the final third to score as many goals as possible. Do you think Son could be making a similar transition in terms of being a more effective central player the older he gets? Because I'm not saying he's lost it. I still think he can be a decent left winger, but I do sometimes feel when he's on the wing, he can go missing a bit because he's such a good team player. He works so hard for the team.
He finds himself in that space, doesn't he? He finds himself in the space where he's needed.
Exactly, and when sometimes he's so busy chasing people back, like fullbacks back and stuff, that he can lose that sharpness in the final third a bit when he gets the opportunity. And maybe when he's centrally, it could suit him more as he gets a bit older. What do you reckon?
We're seeing it, aren't we? Like when he first come to us, he was primarily a left winger. Like that was the only position he was playing, and we're slowly starting to see that transition where he's becoming he's playing more the up front kind of role. And obviously last season with the Kane and Son partnership that we saw that was effective in every aspect. We are seeing traits of it. I don't think Son's going to be. I don't think Son's losing it at all. I think if anything, he's turning into a better player. But they say that players are normally within their prime when they're about 26 to 28, and Son's 29, and I think we still yet to see the best of him. In all honesty, I'm not saying he hasn't performed brilliantly. Like he has performed exceptionally well, but he's developing into a player every week that we see him, and he's becoming more and more of a team leader. To be perfectly honest, I think if we were to get rid of Lloris in the window, like a lot of people are calling for, then I reckon Son could be our next captain.
Wow,
That's not a bad shout, actually. No one's really talked about Son being captain, but after he signed a contract, he does seem to be a guy who likes to, try and motivate other players. You see him trying to G up players, after he scored and whatnot. That could be.
Why do they even need G'ing up those two?
Yeah, it could be something from left field that people haven't really considered Son being captain, but everyone loves Son as well. He's a player who everyone respects.
Let's not forget as well. Son brings us money. He brings us money. the tourist element from East Asia and that, just because of who he is, we get a lot of people that come to games just to see Son play.
Yeah, definitely, and you see it home and away. You see even away ends packed with South Koreans as well.
Exactly. Like he is in every aspect. He is good for business in every aspect of the word. Yeah. He's good on the pitch. He's good for shirt sales. He's just because of who he is. He's considered one of the best footballers from Asia.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't defer against that.
So that lineup you've picked, you think that is that a lineup that could beat Aston Villa on Sunday? Considering the form Villa are in,
could. I think you're taking a risk by playing Son in that attacking midfield role. But again, when you've got him feeding balls into Kane back and forth, or Kane feeding balls into Son, I reckon it's destructive, very destructive.
And
again, it could self-destruct.
What Brains was saying,
like any Spurs team.
No, that's true. What Brains was saying in the last call, he reckons that Spurs are just not in a moment at this current time where they can compete.
I think every time Brains comes on, he gives a very valid input, but I think he's off the mark with this one.
Go on.
Like I said, I think that win from last night will rub off. I've had time to think about it because the confidence is there now. The confidence is there. Like we saw Kane's bagging goals. Kane was finding himself in the space that he needed to be. Again, like I said, they were a mediocre team, and we did put in a mediocre performance. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that is what we need. That is the catalyst for Kane to start bagging goals.
I really hope you're right, man. I hope
I am as well.
But, he came in against Passos and scored 2 goals, and nothing really happened after that.
Yeah, it wasn't a hat-trick though, was it?
No, but it was a brace.
It wasn't the match ball.
No, it wasn't.
On the bench, you've got Ndombele, Lo Celso and Dele then in your team, all on the bench.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And you reckon there'll be enough creativity there?
I would if we don't play Son in the attacking midfield role, bench Gil. Put Son on the left and put Lo Celso in the middle.
What about Gil maybe in the centre? He played quite well in the free role earlier this season.
He wants to play left wing. Son will do whatever is required of him. We've seen that week in, week out. He will do what is required of him, and like you said, he's a team player. He will find himself in positions, and sometimes he will drift off, but sometimes it pays off. I'd love to see Gil in the first team lineup, but I think if you're going on the narrative that he has to compete with Son, I don't see him getting into the first team, which is why I think if you want Gil in the first team and you want Son in the team as well as Gil, then you play them both together with Son in that attacking midfield role.
Yeah, I actually think if you were to play Gil and Son both in the same team, I would put Sonny out on the left and I'd put Gil in the hole because I think when he's played on the left wing for us so far, I think he's gone missing, and I think I like him more in the central where he can impact the game a bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree. But this is just a brainstorm of an idea like this.
Have we ever seen Son in that role behind the striker?
10?
Maybe a few times. I can't remember too many times.
Remember off the top of my head.
We've seen him central striker a few times. Even seen him in a 2 when we played in that run to the quarter final. Everyone thinks about Son, but he was actually playing with a 2 up top in that with him and Lucas up top together in a 2. I don't think I've ever seen Kane and Son too many times up front.
No, but I think what he's saying, it could be like a 2 up top kind of hybrid thing where one drops and the other drops.
Yeah,
we saw multiple times last season.
Exactly.
We saw it against United, like when we absolutely turned them over at that Tin Pot Stadium of theirs. Like you just see that Kane and Son partnership, and I think in any aspect, I mean. You say put Son in that attacking midfield role, but ultimately he's going to be a striker in that role. Because he will play more up front than he will in midfield.
Yeah, exactly. And you say Tanganga over Emerson for Sunday? You think Tanganga retains his place?
I think Emerson needs to prove himself. In my honest.
How can he prove himself without playing?
This is the thing. That's the thing about a lot of players, man. Like that's the thing about a lot of players. I still think we need to give Sessegnon a chance, but we haven't. We play him in Europe, but that's about it. I mean, but when you're playing him in these Europa conference fixtures, when you're playing not a strong lineup, how do you expect him to prove himself?
I'll tell you the truth. In my opinion, I think Emerson's already shown more than Sessegnon has ever shown with us.
I mean, yeah.
I know he hasn't shown much, Emerson. He hasn't shown much at all, but Sessegnon looks out of his depth every time he steps on the pitch for us.
There's a reason we paid so much money for him, dude. Like, we paid, what, 30?
There's a reason we paid so much money for Soldado, for Davinson Sanchez, for the rest of them.
Can we not talk
you know
about Soldado, please? Like, it's forbidden.
You know what I mean, though?
That's like opening Pandora's box.
There's a reason why we paid 30 million for Eric Lamela. Like, every single player that we've overspent on has...
Coco put the shirt on and he gave his 100% every week, regardless of what people say.
Yeah, but he wasn't a £30 million player, was he?
No, he wasn't, but he was projected to be like the Argentinian Ronaldo, and look at that.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, but on Sunday, do you not think Emerson came on and was a bit more comfortable than Tanganga on the right-hand side?
Yeah, to some degree, but I just think for this kind of fixture where it's make or break, the smart thing to do would play someone that knows this style of football, and I think Tanganga is that person. Royale isn't familiar with Premier League yet. He can't be familiar. He's only been with us a couple of weeks. There is absolutely no way he can be familiar with the way that we play Premier League football as yet. If you're going to play him against someone like Brentford or Burnley.
Definitely
not Aston Villa.
Definitely not Brentford. We'll get turned over big time.
You reckon we'll get turned over by Brentford? I reckon they're just having a good run of form at the minute. I think come Christmas, mate, they won't be as good.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. But I think they definitely are.
We've got to make some signings
well
in January. We have to make some signings in January.
Yeah, but you know who our chairman is. And you know Steve Hitchin doesn't like January transfer windows.
No, he hates it. I wonder if Paratici feels the same.
Really. I don't think any team does.
Yeah, very true.
All right. Same as the big one, isn't it?
What's your prediction this weekend?
Well, I said if we don't draw a 2-1 scrappy win, but I'm confident we can walk away with the 3 points, and I'm pushing more towards a 3-1 win now.
All right, maybe you should be getting on David's pre-match pump up. Maybe that's where you're getting all the positivity from.
I've already said, David, I'm going to come on your show on Monday, mate. We can have a chat there, mate. All right, I will be in on Sunday. Don't you worry about that.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Looking forward to it.
Cheers, boys.
Big yourself up, Josh.
It's a pleasure.
Nice
come on, Spurs.
Come on. Loving the positivity from Josh.
Yeah,
definitely big contrast from this morning, that's for sure.
After what Brain said, we definitely can't see us in any way winning this game.
I love the process of being a Spurs fan. I've spoken to Josh now 3 times over the last 24 hours. Last night was literally so negative. This morning was a bit less negative. Now we're going to win. I absolutely love it. Have we got anyone else waiting?
All right. Bob Swell was there, no?
He was there. Where's Bob gone? Bob gone?
He was there.
Bob's gone.
Bob's your uncle, eh?
Yeah, Bob's your uncle has gone. But look, that is your pre-match fan show for you guys today. Thank you everyone for joining us today. You got the press conference coming later, and you got a match preview and predicted lineup coming your way tomorrow as well. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.
Grandpa just called me. Hi, Grandpa, you alright?
Who was it?
Someone what, sorry? Oh, you got a hearing aid, do you? Didn't know you had trouble hearing.